This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, Dreamwalkers? This is Steven, your host with Fantology Podcast. I have my lifelong friends, Ben and Josh, on with me, and we're talking about Wheel of Time, Season 3, specifically episodes 4 through 6, probably, reference other parts of the show as well. Jake and I reviewed episodes 1 through 3. Were you guys on, or was it just him and I?
I was not on.
I think I was on. I'm pretty sure I was on.
Okay. And we also did a trailer review. So we've done a little bit of Wheel of Time Season 3 content, not as heavy as we have in the past. But yeah, we'll get into it a little more here. I think we do want to do a spoiler thing for this. So, we've read the books. Obviously, we recognize a lot of people watching the show have not read the books. So I don't know. Do you guys, I feel like there's a few things we could reference that are probably going to happen later in the show. Should we do no spoilers show or just like spoilers
think-
through book
No
four?
spoiler show. I don't want to spoil the show.
No spoilers. Maybe if we get to the end and we still feel like there's something burning we need to discuss, then we can
Yeah,
save
throw
that
in
till the end.
Okay. I may like vaguely say, oh, I wonder if they're going to set up a certain thing from the book and you guys will try to read my mind, but we won't actually say what it
Yeah,
is.
at least not until the end if we do something explicit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. TBH, we're probably not gonna do that at the end because we always forget what we started with it. Anyway, so yeah, let's talk about episodes 4 through 6 and maybe just like season 3 in general, since we're now 2/3, no, wait, 6 out of 8, 3/4
Three-fourths.
of the way through the season. Like, how is season 3 going for you guys?
So I'm not gonna lie, I have not been really I've been super busy lately. And so I haven't really even talked to you guys about this. So and I haven't really seen many reactions online.
Mm,
If
okay.
people haven't been loving this
Raw,
season, I would be shocked.
unfiltered comments from
Yeah.
Ben. Okay.
Yeah, I've loved it. I think it's a huge step up in quality. I think that I mean 1 through 6 have been, I think every episode has been better than any other episode in past seasons. Um so I've loved the season. I have particularly loved how they have um I feel like they've been more faithful to the books without needing to like go scene by scene, but like they'll just
Mm.
have things that are like clear, like for example, Perrin and oh, what's her name?
File.
Uh, yeah, Fael, like they had a scene where she talked about his beard, and like that's something that like is just honoring the books, you know what I mean? Like they didn't have to have that scene in there, but like she liked his beard and so he doesn't shave it and like that's lifted from the books. I only know that because I've like gone back and started listening to the fourth book again in my like off time. But I don't know.
Mm.
So I've really enjoyed that. It hasn't been scene by scene, but it's been close enough for me to really feel like they've been honoring the books a lot more this season. So
Yeah.
that's my quick overview.
Josh, agree?
Yeah,
Disagree?
I don't know if I fully agree that like every episode has been better than every episode of the weakest season of this season has been better than the best episode of previous seasons. I don't think I'd go that far. But yeah, I largely overall really agree. I think that this season has been a huge step up. It's been really, really good. Um, and I've loved it. I don't think there has been a weak episode this entire season. I think that they've all been like solid to excellent.
Mm.
And I'm excited to see that keep going. Hopefully they can finish up on 7 and 8 as well. I think that's where you are going to have like that's where the rubber's going to meet the road a little bit,
Oh, they've done
'cause-
such a good job of setting a lot of stuff up though. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Well, Josh said the question is, are they going to pay it off well or not?
yeah. Like yeah, there's still a lot that they need to play out that they need to tie together. And I'm sure that they have to be also balancing the fact that they might not get renewed. So they might be trying to like leave
Have
it at a
somewhat a
satisfying ending if they're not renewed.
man,
you
if
know?
they're not renewed, it's gonna I understand why and stuff, but it would suck so much that like they don't get renewed after the best season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, I want to hear your thoughts, Steven.
I was concerned about them not getting renewed going into season 3. Like I've kind of felt like, and I think most people kind of agree that like this season was like make or break
Yeah.
for the show. And the quality is good enough where I think like, yeah, you should renew it. I have no idea what the numbers are as far as how many, and I'm sure that ultimately carries the most weight. Probably, I don't know. There's so many like egos and things that go into these renewal.
Sure. It's tough
Who
because
knows? But
I don't know what the numbers are, but like I think um I've seen like some headlines that admittedly I didn't read, but like aren't they getting like super high reviews on IMDb? Like eight, nine
ratings
out
are
of 10.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
ratings are really solid.
And so I feel like that might be like, okay, we're not increasing or maybe even like there's a decrease in the numbers, but like the people that are watching it will likely be solid. And so maybe we're like,
Yeah,
okay, like we've satisfied we know we've reached the fan base and now we like that's who we wanted to reach with this whole thing anyway. So like, I don't know. That's my
I
hope.
just
And
wonder.
well, let me jump in there real fast.
Yeah.
Honestly, it wouldn't shock me if like this season doesn't get new viewers for like seasons one and two as well, because of how good it's been and that it has been in the headlines more. So if people are seeing like,
Hmm.
oh, this epic fantasy TV show really finds its legs in season three, then people that like saw the mid to like somewhat negative,
Yeah.
somewhat positive reviews of like season one, they'd be like, ah, I'm not gonna watch that.
It's
You know,
similar
like
to like Severance. Like, how many people do you think are going back and watching season one of Severance because season two has been so widely talked about?
yeah. It's actually
But
been
would
kind of
you?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean yeah, that's what I was gonna jump in. Like, if you heard season three of a show, a long show, that you would have to go back and watch 16 episodes, 16 1 hour episodes. Season three is really good. Season one and two are kind of like meh.
I would probably
It's
do it.
kind of like like,
Yeah,
would you
it,
do
it
it?
it depends. I think that when you say long show, they're long episodes, but there's not many of them.
Yeah.
I think
That's
there's not like
fair.
12 to 13 episodes a season or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're like, okay, I could throw in the show for the next 2 weeks and be caught up, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, people watch a lot of TV. It's like not a big ask to watch people
Mhm.
to watch an episode of a TV show. I mean, I personally watch a lot of TV, so I can
We're not
imagine
a
that
very
like people
representative
are,
sample.
yeah, but I can imagine that like people are willing to watch a TV show, probably. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, especially like in an era where like this is not like a Marvel Universe situation. You know what I mean? Like where I feel like there's a certain level where you do start to lose people that aren't going to go back and do that. But
Hmm.
yeah, like you said, we're only, 15 hours into this thing. Like that's not a crazy long time.
Hmm.
And honestly, even for me, I I like everyone I knew that I was excited for Wheel of Time season one, and I talked about it a lot. And personally, I thought that season one was better than a lot of people give it credit for. Season two, but like when season two rolled around, I wasn't like talking about it in my like real life very much. Like, not that this isn't real life, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
with my coworkers, I wasn't like, oh, I'm super excited
Yeah,
about the
same.
season episode three of season two. Whereas like before season one was coming out, I was like telling like I knew one of my coworkers had watched the first few seasons of Game of Thrones, but then kind of petered out. So I would like talk to I was like, oh hey, there's a show coming out kind of like Game of Thrones, only not quite as intense. Like you should watch it. And then now that season three is coming out, like I could definitely see myself starting to talk about it again, being like, oh yeah, just bringing it
Mm.
up. And anytime there's a TV show conversation, I'd probably, now that
Yeah,
Severance is
yeah.
over, I'd probably bring it up. So
Hmm. Yep. I brought it up today at the Sunday night family get together because some of my family is into to varying levels, and my sister that actually has not read the books, and I would be surprised if she ever does, but she watched the first two seasons and liked them okay, and so I'm like trying to tell her like, okay, season three is out, you should watch it now. So yeah, there's so much like, yeah, maybe at work, maybe I'll broach it at work, Josh. You've inspired me.
do it,
I'll give it
Steven.
a shot there.
Are
You
you gonna
might
like
even
wear something Wheel of Time coded and like hope that people ask you about it?
Mm. Maybe just we have this like end of the sprint, uh, well, retro meeting is what we call, the tech world. And sometimes it gets into like you can just say you're sad, happy, whatever about anything. And so maybe I'll just throw like a Wheel of Time season three
nice.
thumbs
Throw
up.
it out there. Throw it
Yeah,
out there.
yeah, just to see if anyone bites.
I have a coworker that we started chatting about TV shows. She hadn't heard of Severance, so I recommended Severance to her. But
Mm,
if TV shows come up again, I think that we'll have time season three. will
Mm.
be. Speaking of which, while Ben's gone, that
Yeah.
coworker,
Well, Ben
she went
is
to
gone, and now we're seeing Ben's laundry, it
oh,
seems. Yeah.
so she went to school in LA. It's like the small like liberal arts school, like high school, and it's where all the Disney Channel stars went like to get their actual school, so they would get education on set and then they would go for a few hours. And so
Oh,
she was there
interesting.
like during like the prime time. So I was like, I didn't want to ask for gossip, but I was like, who's like just super nice? And she was like, honestly, the like two of the nicest people were Hillary Duff and Zach Efron. She was like, they were just like all super nice to, because she said
Mm.
they would like kind of keep to themselves, but she said that those two folks were really super nice. So, a little bit of uplifting news is that, you know, that Hillary Duff and Zac Efron were good people in high school.
Okay.
Dude, I stepped
I
away for like literally 15 seconds
I went on a
and
tangent.
that conversation changed so dramatically.
Yeah, no, we're
we'll,
talking
we'll,
about Disney Channel stars now.
we'll
If we
get
want
back
to,
on.
yeah, I could take it a step further. I just watched The Traitors season 3 because there were some Survivor players
Oh,
on there,
nice.
and Zac Efron's brother was on there, and he's a really cool guy.
Hey,
He
look at
Was
that.
a great player on The Traitors. So,
Maybe we can
E-
get Zac Efron on season four
yeah,
of Wheel of Time.
Efron Bros. Anyway, okay, yeah, let's get back to it. So, season 3 was better. Why? Why is it better? So far we've identified they're sticking closer to the book material, which I agree. I think that is a reason for improvement. Like the writing has improved just by sticking closer to Robert Jordan's writing because like the book series was a big success. Let's follow the author. Like that was a formula for success for Game of Thrones. I think it should be kind of a I don't know, like kind of a
Yeah.
no-brainer. Like if you're adapting something, like let's stick to
I
the
think
source material a little bit more. And I feel like most of the time when seasons 1 and 2 went in weird directions, like it wasn't always great. And so season 3 has been really good, and that's been like a big part of it.
I think the default is that you stick to things unless you can like articulate like a clear reason why you're deviating
Yeah,
and be able to like explain that. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's like we
Like
are going to
obviously
choose
there are
yeah.
reasons we
No,
cannot
for yeah.
adapt every single page of this, of this epic long fantasy book series. That's just not possible.
Right.
But where we're making cuts, where we're adding things, like why are we doing that? Or, where we're
So,
changing things around, are we staying true to the spirit of it? Are we still like moving the story forward in a way? Like, yeah, go ahead, Josh.
yeah, I think changing the subject a little bit with still staying on the general theme of sticking closer to the source material. I think
Hmm.
one thing is that especially in season one, I felt like they were afraid of the magic in Wheel of Time. Like the weaves weren't colorful. They talked about it and referenced it a little bit,
Mm,
and they did kind of lean into it. But I feel like season three is just like fully leaning in to
Yeah.
like the magic. And I feel like maybe in season one and two, they're like, oh, well, Game of Thrones didn't really have a lot of magic in it. Like
mm,
it had some magical elements with like the White Walkers and but like it wasn't a magic show, right?
yeah.
Whereas now you have like Tel'aran'rhiod, you have the you have Ruidian, you have colorful weaves going on all over the place, you have
Mm,
like magic battles, and they've really leaned into it. And I think that's what a lot of people like about the books too, is like it has a lot of cool magical elements to it, and it's a little bit of
yeah.
escapism.
I think
Yeah.
that I think also I've really enjoyed that they've done the show don't tell aspect of it a lot. Right, like they kind of are treating readers like they're or watchers like they're adults and can understand what's going on.
Hmm.
Some examples of that, like when Liaren goes and like kills everybody, or
Leandrin.
Leandrin.
Leandrin
Fuck.
goes and kills everybody. My bad. Goes and
Hmm.
kills everybody, right? And then you're like, what? Why? And she like references a child bride, and then it's not until a couple episodes later until you're like, oh, shoot, like this is her baby. That baby grew up to, you know what I mean? Like they kind of trusted that like you would be on that journey and kind of connect
Hmm.
those dots. When Rand's, trying to, breathe life back into the little girl, like all these things are like much more subject heavy and they treat them with like a lot of deference and they are willing to trust that the audience will be along with him.
Yeah.
And like you can kind of compare that to like was it season one where they kind of just like had the funeral where they kind of just zoomed out of all the graves or whatever, and it was kind of a cool imagery, but it wasn't like emotional,
Mhm.
you know? I don't, so that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, I like both those points. To Josh's point about the magic, I mean, I'd just take it a step further, which I think you kind of were is not only are they not afraid of leaning into the magic, but they're not afraid of leaning into the lore. Like they get into the whole Ruidian episode, which we'll talk about in a second. They get into the whole backstory of the Aiel and like, a lot of the history of all of like Randland. And there's a lot, I mean, there's just so many elements to the Wheel of Time. And it did seem like in the first couple seasons, they were maybe a little afraid of overwhelming viewers and just like throwing the whole big, heavy book at people. And so they kind of I don't know, they kind of condensed some of the stories and like kept it really tight. Which, to be fair, the first couple books did kind
I
of do that as well.
yeah.
But in this one, which is also true in book four, which they're adapting here in season three, massively expands the whole of the world. And so I'm really glad that they're not afraid to do that. They are like fully going for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think that like especially as I've been going back and rewatching Game of Thrones, they don't they don't waste time explaining who this character is, how they relate to this person. Like they'll kind of throw some hints in to help you remember a little bit, but like
Hmm.
I'm in season 6 and like you have like Edmure Tully who was like the Lannisters had him as captive and and then he was there he was how I don't want to give spoilers, but like if you remember that situation, but it wasn't
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, hey, this is Caitlyn's family or Catelyn's family, and this is
Hmm.
why you should care about them and this and that. It was just like, no, like you're in this situation now. You haven't seen this character for a season or two, but you do remember the
Yeah.
Lannisters have them, and you're expected. You can follow along the plot just knowing like, okay, they have a
Yeah.
captive, but
Which
for
takes good
invested people,
writing.
yeah,
You
but
have you
invested
have to at
people,
least like
right?
throw in a line or a sigil or something to like, okay, this is who this guy is. And if you
Right.
don't know, like then homework for the viewer, go,
Or but and it's enough that you can
check out a
follow. It's enough that you can
Screen Rant
follow the
article.
narrative of like
Yeah.
what's going on. And okay, they have a captive. They're using them as leverage to not have to do a siege.
Hmm.
You can follow the narrative of the episode without knowing, but it makes it so much better and more rewarding if you do pay attention and can like know
Hmm.
who's who and what's what. Yeah.
Yeah. Which also ties into Ben's point about, show don't tell storytelling. I think my favorite example of that in season three, which is not in episodes 4 through 6, I think it's back to like episode 2, was when they introduced Robin and we learn, actually, I think this was probably in episode 3 when they had the Forsaken cold open when they're all talking. And we learn that he has convinced everyone that he's been around for like 10 to 15 years, even though they like just barely broke out.
Uh-huh.
And then if you think back to like episode 2, when everyone kind of has these like slightly strange reactions to him, and you realize that he's like putting compulsion on everyone to make
Yeah.
them believe this like false reality. But that's never explained. It's just shown to you there's something kind of strange that happens. And so as a viewer, you're like, what is this? And then later on, you get a clue for it and you can kind of piece this together. And then that tells you, like, okay, this guy's like really powerful, but that's never really explicitly explained. As Ben and Josh have both mute themselves and have coughs in unison.
No, I definitely agree with that. Um I've been super happy. I even as a book reader, like with the whole diving into the lore, with the flashback scenes, it still took me a while to figure out like what was going on in all of those. Like the Aiel was a super cool reveal, and I still remember how I felt like
Yeah.
that with
So
that when I
let's
found out
keep
about that.
let's keep on going. Let's start
Yeah.
actually like getting into these specific episodes. So
Okay.
episode 4. So yeah, keep on just to kind of prime people as a little bit of an outline. So let's go into the Ruidian episode. So
Ruidian. Yeah.
the Aiel flashbacks and everything. So yeah, your thoughts there.
So okay, first of all, I thought it was cool how they definitely set up the dichotomy um of Rand going back in time and oh my gosh,
Moraine like going
Moraine
forward
going
and
forward.
seeing
Yeah. Yeah,
all the futures. Yeah.
all the futures. I thought that the cinematography with Moraine stuff was really cool, like kind of yeah, looping
Hmm.
around. Um,
Yeah.
but even with Rand, it was just so cool to like, you know, see the Tinkerers kind of how they came about, and how they transitioned into the ideal. I thought that was super
Hmm.
cool. I thought it was cool to see how the Aes Sedai were kind of part of things all the way back in the breaking, and it was just it
Hmm.
had like a lot of Dune vibes at times in those scenes,
Hmm.
which I thought was cool. Um, but anyway, I
Hmm.
thought each of those was good, and I felt like even the going back to the show versus tell, I thought it was cool how Ren was doing it with that other guy from the waist who was like slowly dying, and so you're like,
Yeah.
oh, there's also some type of danger to Rand going on here.
That was
So
really, yeah.
that guy was his name's Muradin, and his brother is Kuladin, who is the guy who is like the Shido guy who's kind of antagonistic over there in the
Yeah,
waist. And so yeah, so like it's the clan chief ceremony to go through Ruidian and get the full history. But yeah, like it does show you how impactful this is. Like this guy can't even handle the truth.
right. And then not only that, but like to see all those spears like surrounding, and you're like, oh, what, why are there spears here? And then like you see like the first one planted. Just like
Mm,
so many cool things, and those are like all just like little pieces of a mosaic that like has really shaped up this season, that I just don't feel like those small little details were present in the other seasons.
mm. I think this episode was the best episode of the show so far.
Episode 4.
Hmm.
I agree. Yeah.
Season 3, episode 4. And they didn't, I don't think they did any jumps to any other storylines. Like it was literally just this whole thing, the whole passage through Ruidian. I mean, there was some Moraine stuff, and Avienda was also kind of, but they didn't show Avienda's what Avienda sees.
Yeah,
Ultimately, you do see that much later in the books, but you don't see it here, which is totally fine. But yeah, it's mostly Rand, and I thought it was there were some cool cinematography things on the Moraine side. Like Josh just mentioned, like the swooshing around and seeing all the futures, like that was cool. And then on the Rand side, like him playing all of his ancestors, Yosha. Uh,
yeah,
can't pronounce his last name, but him playing all those people, and I mean, he did a pretty good job with the like some I don't know. I think there's like one of them that kind of seemed a little strange to me, but all these different characters, like you learned who they were pretty quickly. It was him and kind of a weird, garb or different look or like a kind of swollen forehead at one point, right? And
yeah,
then you go all the way back to the most interesting part of the whole thing for me was, they go back to the servants of the Aes Sedai, and then you see Lanfear. I think that's probably the biggest reveal for folks that haven't read the book. Like, oh my gosh, like this is Lanfear back before she was evil, and she was like trying to do this like scientific advancement thing, which went horribly wrong somehow. And I think people can kind of put the pieces together, like, oh, she like went into the Dark One's prisoned, right? Like that is what happened. I don't know if that was explicitly told, but again, show don't tell there. So, and then that ties into what Lanfear was telling Rand, like, maybe we could kill the Dark One and I could be free. And like, so this Lanfear character, I think they've done a pretty good job of keeping her like fairly interesting and gray, not just like evil.
yeah, for sure.
That was a lot there. I just kind of like vomited out all of my
Yeah.
thoughts.
I think Lanfear has definitely been a highlight of the season. And I think that, I mean, even how she's interacting with Egwene, and how we're unclear about if Ren is like actually in love with her, if he's just using her, or like what's really going on there. Um, we do know like the last episode was episode what, 6 was super impactful when he like told Egwene like, I'm never gonna be enough for you, and like that's something I respect about you, but like that's I just have kind of mentally moved on because of that, like I'm the chosen one, I'm still not enough for you. You know what I mean? Um, and so it kind of gives us a reason why we're like, okay, we can see how he's
Yeah.
gonna handle them fair. Yeah.
How likable is Rand and all of this? Like, this is something that I mean, Rand is definitely a great character in the Wheel of Time, but I'm not,
So
I don't know
this
if I'm
is
totally sold on this whole
the
thing where he,
well,
like, this is really questionable, his behavior
no, I
in
mean,
all
but
of this.
this is how you want to weave it in because I think that this,
Mhm.
this is what around in the books when he started getting having acting really questionably as well. I was talking to Mackenzie about this, and I was like, hey, so can you start to see like how Dune like inspired this, like inspired the Wheel of Time in a lot of ways, specifically like going out into the Isle wilderness and then like just becoming the weight of his calling, like weighing on him more and more and more, and like kind of corrupting, like not quite. I don't know if corrupting is the right word, but changing him. And
Yeah.
so I think that that's one thing that both of these that was a huge influence from Dune that I didn't realize, obviously, because I hadn't read Dune when I was reading the books, Wheel of Time books, but like looking back on it, Wheel of Time does it really well, and I think that the show is doing a really good version of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, in the purpose, but I think my issue is more of like, why is he still in this weird relationship with
But
Lanfear
it
in his dreams? Like,
But I think
because
it
Lanfear
just,
was Lanfear
I
was
just,
this way in the book too, right? She was always kind of trying to tempt him to be
it
with
was,
her.
it was a little different in the book. Like, it was not explicitly like, I am Lanfear, love me. And
it
he's
was
like,
always like
okay,
it
like,
was always like, oh, I'm
she was
Celine,
like she
Celine,
was yeah
and
she was like in disguise and like he was
but
never
he knew
openly like he was never like openly in a relationship, much less like a sexual relationship with a member of the Forsaken.
but he look, and you might be more correct than me on this because it's you know the books better than I do, but I'm pretty sure he knew that she was like that she was bad news in the books, and he
Yeah, I
would
think
kind of
so
allow
too.
himself to be
Like
led
wasn't
on.
I think even in book four when I was reading it, like in
He was never like and he was never enthusiastically involved in a relationship with Lanfear.
But I wouldn't say he's enthusiastically involved right now. Like it's
Seems like he's enthusiastic about it.
I mean
There's some enthusiasm here.
there's some enthusiasm for sure. Um
I just feel like this makes him into like kind of a slimy guy where he's like, with Lanfear at this like behind Egwene's back, and he's,
yeah, but
I
Egwene
mean,
has kind of already broken up. I mean, not real. I mean, at the ending of episode 6, kind of, but every time
yeah,
he would try
well,
and be like physical with her, she would like recoil. And like I get it, she's going through. I think they've done
but
a good.
he's like, but he was pursuing a relationship with Egwene at the like
Well, he was.
he's double timing
Yeah,
the
You're right. He's a little schemy, a little skinny.
yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah.
Rand is a questionable character for definitely for a lot of reasons, really interesting character, but I don't love this like
I don't know. I don't mind it as much as you do. I
kind
don't
of
think.
creepy even. I don't know if creepy is the right word, but really just I don't know what's the word here. Just not I'm not okay with this.
I
I mean, there's a lot of his behavior that I'm not okay with in the books as well, but like this is hmm.
I definitely like I feel like we have Rand has changed a lot this season. Um and I think that that makes a lot of sense with what he saw in Meridian. But also like when he's talking to Moraine and he's like, "Oh, you just never give in," and
Hmm.
and he kind of has that really intense ground shaking, and Moraine's trying to like snap him out of it or whatever. But like that's where he's at. He's like, I feel as if he has so much weighing on him that any of these other things that might be morally questionable, he's just like, I I'm just gonna I don't have time, I don't have mental capacity um to avoid that temptation. So I'm just gonna give in to it almost, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like it takes all my focus to like stay sane. I'm still gonna try and be a good person. I'm still gonna try and love kids. I'm still gonna, like, I'm not gonna lose that part of my humanity. But like, if there's a girl from my childhood who's like kind of tugging me around, I'm just gonna be like, I don't have time for this. Like, I'm gonna go be with the Forsaken because at least she understands the power that I'm trying to
Mm.
deal with. I don't know. It is a
Yeah,
definitely like a different like version of the character from the book for sure.
like maybe I don't know, maybe I missed it or maybe just feel like I don't have quite like a convincing reason for him to want to be with Lanfear other than she's super powerful and hot.
And understands his power, understands what he's going through, like knew him in his previous lives.
Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like I'm kind of missing that piece of it. The show has not convinced me of that.
Yeah, I think
Which
fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could definitely like read between the lines and like pick that up, but we
no, she
need a
said
little
several
more of
times like
that.
I've loved you in every past life and I'll continue to love you. Like there's been those
Ugh.
lines.
Yeah. Yeah, but like Rand doesn't have the lose Theron thing going on yet, so I don't know if I buy that. Well, like I don't know if I buy that he would care about that yet.
That's for sure. Yeah, do you
Yeah.
think that they're trying to maybe with this morally gray thing, like in the books, like uh, is this book spoilers? The fact that he's kind of polyamorous.
I mean,
He hasn't, well, he hasn't, yeah, I think so. He hasn't gone on the show yet.
yeah.
Okay, well, let's just
There are
like talk around
yeah.
that. Rand is like in relationships with multiple people throughout the series.
Mm,
And I think that maybe this is kind of playing off that where there's
yeah.
multiple people involved and he's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
okay with
Those
that.
things are that also would be a little questionable. Uh, for sure.
But in the books, again, it's never played like it's that like he's a bad person for doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
But
mean,
yeah, I guess we could have a different discussion on that on the books because yeah, I think there are other things you could bring up with that whole thing. Um, okay, other than Rand.
okay.
So let's talk about what's anything else on the IEL? Should we go into let's maybe go into Egwene, like Dreamwalker, where she's gone since season two. She's still being tormented by who we first thought was Brenna, but actually was Lanfear the whole time. And so she's kind of like taking the next step on her. Like, I mean, obviously season two was like really massive and she kind of emerged from this, but now she's got her own thing going on. And I think we mostly like this kind of becomes a big deal at the end of episode five when she has her little like dream walking montage, which also was maybe a little creepy, or she was kind of creeping on a bunch of different romantic moments and ultimately like
Yeah, I can't play it off.
she,
It was played off
yeah,
like, oh, this is so tender. She's getting to see all of her friends and
yeah,
like have fulfillment. And then she like stumbles on Rand. But
yeah.
I've really liked the way that they've handled um, this plot because it's something that as a viewer, you can like learn the basics of from the ground up. It's like, okay, it's your dreams, therefore whatever reality you think is real will become
Hmm.
real. You see her testing her limits, you see how strong Lanfear is in those situations. Like there's all sorts of things that as a viewer you can be like, okay, I'm gonna be able to learn with the character, another like show versus tell. I thought that like um their willingness to go to all these different scenes and all these different um, places to make Teleran Riad feel real has been very impressive. Not sure how I feel about the disintegration graphic that's going on. It feels kind of like a PowerPoint graphic from like 2010,
Yeah, I can
um,
see that. Yeah.
but at least they're trying.
Hey, 2010, I don't know if the graphics cards could handle that. Maybe like, 2015. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe they
Um,
introduced it in 2010,
I
but
don't
nobody
know.
used it because it would crash the presentation.
The slides just like yeah, like
I don't know if I've used PowerPoint since 2010.
Steven still had the flippy like graphic when they
Like the
to transition.
turning the
Yeah,
page graphic.
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good step in the right direction for her. She hasn't done anything super cool, but she's still a character. I think like the season two, like emotional weight of the viewers like caring about her has, we're okay like if she doesn't do too much, but hopefully she does have, something really cool to do before the season's over.
yeah. And I think she will. I mean, I think that there's definitely setting her up
No.
for some success.
I mean, the season has definitely had much more of a focus on the Tenchiko crew, Rand, and Perrin. And Egwene's kind of along for the ride as she, you know, is kind of in between where her character arc, where ultimate character arc is going to go.
Yeah,
But yeah, let's go over to Perrin because Perrin, up in episode 7, which we're looking forward to next, I mean, they've teased that this is going to be the big conflict in the two rivers. I'm hoping that is pretty cool to watch. But thus far, I think they've done a pretty good job. And this is like one of my favorite plots, probably in the entire series.
yeah. I mean, I think that man, when Matt's mom was puts the question,
Yeah,
that was a tough scene. Um, I think that uh who's the warder that was with them that got pincushioned a
Maxim,
little bit? Yeah. Oh, not the warder, but the Aes Sedai. Like
Alana.
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 I think all those like it's been super compelling to watch. Like it kind of shows you that like an Aes Sedai, while powerful, can still be taken out a little bit too easily. Like if they're not acting in concert, they're a little bit more feeble.
Mm,
They can't heal themselves. I thought it was
mm,
cool that Matt's sisters kind of came to the rescue there. Um, Again, I really like the way that they're playing up Perrin and Fael. I think that this is kind of a little rescue boat from how what they did with Perrin's character at the beginning, where um, like they're able to tie up that character arc for him because of Fael and launch it
mm.
into something new, which I think is like showing some good writing chops here, like trying like making that kind of random thing that happened in season one that didn't really have a satisfying conclusion or anything, kind of having a satisfying conclusion now. Um, yeah, I think that there's a lot of good things that's happening there.
Yeah, I think that this is where you start to run into the weaker parts of season one is, and I was somebody that defended making the change of like Perrin having a wife and stuff, but seeing that it didn't go anywhere and now is kind of over and is not going to go anywhere. I don't know. It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
I do like introducing the Matt sisters a little bit earlier. I feel like then in the books, maybe it wasn't earlier, but I feel like that was a little bit later in the series. But I do like introducing them as characters now, or as like
Mm.
channelers now. Um, what else? The Two Rivers, it did feel like a little bit like a homecoming. I think I do like Alana. I didn't think I was gonna really like Alana being there, but I do think it kind of ties in a little bit more than just Perrin being there. I like the fact that we're getting Pat and Fane back. I hope we see him a little bit more. Yeah,
I
just
mean,
overall, it's done really well.
a lot of was there in the books. I'm like
Oh, was she? I thought
95% sure
okay.
that
I knew that there. Yeah, I knew that there was a Aes Sedai there. I didn't know if it was. It,
I'm
it,
yeah, I'm gonna feel stupid if I get this wrong, but I don't have time to look it up. I'm just going with that. I'm
okay.
pretty dang sure she
Fair.
was
Well,
there.
then
Yeah, I mean,
good job following the Bucks. But like,
they
yeah,
they definitely played up her
yeah,
character a lot more in the I mean, they obviously had to highlight some Aes
yeah,
Sedai rather than like here are 100 Aes Sedai to remember, as they do
right.
in the
Wh-
books.
Which was something I struggled with in the books. Honestly, I struggled to keep all the Aes Sedai straight.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
lot that are fairly interchangeable.
yeah,
But Alana is a more important one,
yeah,
along
for sure.
with, your Barons or Leandra, and obviously they played up a lot because they really liked her in season one, and they've kind of kept that going. Be interesting to see where they go with her, Leandra specifically after this. But yeah, The only thing with Parent, I felt like I don't know, we could use maybe a little, I don't know, a little more time. Like we haven't really seen any Trollocs. We've heard about Trollocs, but I'm maybe a little confused as to why this whole conflict is happening. Just the White Cloaks are here
Mm,
because Dane is mad at Perrin and he's like, because of season two when Perrin killed his father, and so he's like going to destroy his homeland. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's a little hand wavy in setting up why this whole thing is
yeah.
happening in the first place.
I don't know. I think that they said a few times. One, they said that Trollocs are in these parts, so the White Cloaks are ostensibly here for them. But also, they know that like they had the conversation about how there's been a lot of really powerful Chandlers from these parts and parents from these parts, and like so. I think that there's enough there that that the White Cloaks have reasons to be there, and
Well, and
Yeah.
plus Pat and Fane showing back up because like that kind of like maybe shows you that he's co-opted
Mhm.
this movement
Yeah,
to,
I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in season seven as far as how does the big fight actually get
yeah,
started and like how aggressive are they
yeah.
and yeah, I really like the Dane Bornholdt character.
oh,
I don't know if I love the Valda character just because he's so one note, like not that interesting and just like being the evil white cloak torturer. But I mean Pat and Fane as in the books he's known as Ordith at this time and his like white cloak mantra or whatever the word is for that, his disguise there. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all comes together. I like what they've done so far, and hopefully, Perrin's got like some nice hero moments from the preview. It looks like this is like a fairly extended
Yeah,
fight that's going to happen. So we'll see if they
yeah.
destroy the two rivers again. They already
They certainly
destroyed
rebuilt that fast,
yeah.
huh?
They destroyed that place once. I mean, it'd be a real shame to have it. The other thing is they introduced Lord Luke and they haven't really touched him again. And I think that's interesting. Like he's an interesting and important character in the books, but I don't know. He seems like he could have been a candidate to be cut from the TV show, but they kept him in, but they haven't really done anything with him.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah, maybe they keep him around for longer. I feel like just in general with the show, it's not super difficult to write a good season. I mean, obviously, I'm reducing this down, but in terms of like difficult tasks to do, writing a single season three, I don't think is like nearly as hard as coming up with like how are we going to tie the show at this point into like where we ultimately want the show to go. Because season three can follow book four really well because book four has a lot of really good storylines you can adapt for TV. But
Yeah.
future books are much harder to adapt for TV because it just starts like sprawling so many different ways and like so wide. And you really do have to choose like which storylines are we going to try to spend more time on and how much time do we have because who knows how well will be renewed and for how long. Like that's all like super challenging. And so like it's interesting that they think like Lord Luke is something that they're going to introduce and like maybe he'll be important in the future, compared to other things that they might want to do. So we'll see where that goes. But in general, I just think like the task of looking forward is much more difficult than the task of adapting this one
Yeah.
season. They've done a great job so far with adapting book four for season three, but
But
assuming we
what's the
get
game plan?
renewed, yeah,
Yeah.
assuming we get renewed, where do we go from here? Because there is no similar like there are certainly other books there's a lot of other things you could do but there is no like other book that is nearly as easy to adapt it and you don't have enough time to do that you have to start making like three books into one season or taking lines from here and there and like
Yeah.
and that's a lot more challenging.
So I guess I agree with you. I think the impression I'm getting with season four is like this is their like Hail Mary, right? Of
Or
like
season three, you mean?
sorry, season three, book four. This is like their Hail Mary of being like this we're gonna do the best we can adapting like this tight story. And then like on the off chance that we get renewed, we can cross that bridge when we come to it. You know what I mean?
I don't think the odds are so low that I would say it's a Hail Mary. But it's
They're certainly
definitely like we're in the fourth quarter, we are trailing. This, to keep with the football analogy, this drive needs to score us points, and
yeah.
it probably needs to be a touchdown in
Yeah.
order to keep the game going, at least, right?
Yes, for sure. Um, you know, maybe they're Houston versus Duke right now, where they're like, you know what, we're down, but we're not out.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. For a Final Four analogy, I love it. Yeah. We're down by about 10 or so. Time is running out. Things are not looking good. But doggone
Yeah,
it, if we're gonna give up, we're gonna keep on going. So yeah, but then like what do we do once we take the lead is kind of the
that's the
question.
question. Yeah,
That's
like
my
because
question.
if they get renewed for another season, it's gonna be like, they're gonna have their work cut out for them for all the reasons you're just describing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And so that
I'm much more confident in their ability to handle that now than I was going into season three.
yeah, yeah,
So
definitely. Definitely. Okay, episode 6. So we haven't talked about the Tenchico stuff. This works out well. Let's talk about the hills of Tenchico, which I was telling you guys beforehand. It took me an embarrassingly long time to realize what this Body Tavern song was actually referring to. What are what the hills are.
the hills,
The hills of
um,
Tenchico.
Uh-huh. Yeah. You
the
would
hills of Chanchico.
you would think the dancing would, but it's
They're
like
painting
the
targets on
hills like
the.
yeah.
That's well, it's similar to Matt's observation about the White Tower at the end of episode 5, maybe 4.
No, that was the end of episode 1,
Oh, was
wasn't
it?
it?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, but that was does anybody else think to this? And they're like, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of ironic because the joke amongst books readers is that the map of the
Looks like
White
the
Tower
female
and
version.
Tower of
Yeah,
Elon, yeah, yeah, uh-huh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, you got
Um,
that, yeah.
but yes, that there's been some funny stuff. Funnily enough, I was kind of I haven't been watching Daniel Green streams, but like sometimes I'll just like just because I don't have enough time, but I'll like click on it and just kind of read some of the comments. And one of the top comments was on his episode 6 stream was somebody, and this is the internet, but they claimed to have been the composer of that song, and thanked Daniel for inspiring them to read Wheel of Time like back in 2018 or something. So I thought, if true, that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, again, that's like another piece of this mosaic. It's having this like song that fits really, really well into the world that they're building, you know?
That's a cool song. It slapped. Kind of it's kind of similar to the Witcher's attempt to having a hit song in every
Yeah,
season. I mean, Toss a Coin, Dear Witcher was
it was the
probably
best.
yeah, I mean the best of any of the Witcher songs. It's probably a little more catchy than this one even, but yeah, I mean this was yeah, solid song. I listened to it afterwards again, like
Did
on
you?
prompt. I was
Oh,
like, it's kind of in my head as like how good was that? Like, and yeah, it's solid. I added it to my like, you know,
well,
nerd soundtrack that I throw on every now and then.
props to the actress that plays Elaine because she was able to sing really well in like an accent that was probably like an accent off of an accent. You know what I mean? Um,
Mm.
so that was awesome.
Yeah, so you guys from our book reviews from years ago
Big
and
Elaine stands.
Yeah,
long
yeah.
time readers or long time listeners to Pentology will remember that Ben and Josh are big fans of Elaine, big defenders of a character that the fandom does
She's
not always love. But so
sh
this was like the
yeah,
episode for you guys.
she's doing us proud, right? Like
Daughter and heir of Andor. Dude,
it was
they are making her a likable character in the show,
for
I
sure.
think.
I love how she was like, "This was me blending in. I promise."
Well, yeah, they are making her a lot more likable in the show than she is in the book. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
No, she was also very likable in the book. They're just leaning into those. Just the fandom is now coming around to realize that she is a likable character.
Uh, yeah, maybe.
I
They're removing a lot of immaturity and annoying stuff from the book.
that's fair. one thing that did kind of bother me about this episode was how Matt just kind of like asked around about the collar and the
Yeah,
bracelets.
no subtlety.
No
This is
subtlety.
this. I mean, ultimately, it didn't work because then
Well, it did somehow
Gideon.
this random person with like an eight
Well,
pack is like, yeah, I found him.
He had
Like
ads on ads.
within the within the song Hills of Tenchico, this guy managed to book it all the way down to a random shop, acquire this thing, and bring it
See,
back.
that's when I wish that they would have had like that they would have incorporated the dice rolling a little bit more.
Yeah, or
And then just
something.
even had like a little bit of an audio cue of like dice tumbling or something. And then you would have been like,
that
oh,
could
this
be good.
is Matt
Yeah.
being lucky, you know?
Yeah.
Seems like
Um,
we still don't really know what to do with Matt other than make him into a rogue.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
But big backfire and the and how that all ended up too,
Yeah.
you know.
I guess ultimately we assumed that because they had no subtlety or strategy in finding the collars, that like that was why Mogideon tracked them down,
Mogideon's
probably.
probably the biggest delta for me of being a she's probably the worst of the best for me in this season because
Okay.
like she's doing a lot right with like the gray man and like the weaves and like you can tell that she's influencing a lot behind the scenes, but
Mm,
like I'm not sure what her motivations are necessarily. Whenever she's on screen, I'm like, crap, somebody's gonna die. So that's like menacing. Um,
mm.
but also I don't know like how earned it is. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I think I like most of it, but
That's
yeah,
fair to be not. Yeah, I don't know if I'm sure what Mogideon's motivations are in the TV show either. I mean, they had the one Forsaken meeting, and it didn't really seem like they were too sure what her motivations were either. I mean, at this point, most of the Forsaken are just kind of like out for themselves.
sure,
And they kind of talk about that, and they all just kind of hate Rand or Lews Therin, and
on principle.
except for Lanfear, who loves him, of course. But then Lanfear also has Samael like working for her because he's the guy who comes in at the end of episode 6 and leads the Shido, their little ambush that Rand like blocks his shot and then just destroys epically. So I'm assuming my guess is that Samael, and we chatted about this a little bit on our Discord. Smail becomes the Asmodean. I don't know if you remember, but from book 4, Asmodean is the Forsaken who I think they'll just cut from the show. And Smail, well, I guess we said we weren't going to do spoilers, but I think he's going to like assume his role going forward. And yeah, I'm just trying to speculate what the show would do in future seasons and like some of Smail's stuff from Alien might get cut out or maybe just removed entirely. Anyway, to make a long story long here, so Mo Gideon, yeah, like what is she trying to do? I don't know. I guess she's just trying to like be opportunistic and she's hearing about this collar for the Dragon Reborn and she's like, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, but then also like
Which is another book storyline from much later that maybe they're pushing forward into
but
the TV show.
she also just seems kind of not all there, right? Like she takes a lot of attempts to be sneaky, but then she just like cuts naive, right? Like
Yeah.
um so I don't like you can tell that there's something loose there, right?
Mm.
Um
I think that's a fair way to describe the Forsaken though. Like
yeah,
there's like
Something broken about him.
they've been imprisoned for millennia or whatever. Like they're just barely getting out.
yeah.
Like Lanfear, like she's, would you say she's got it all there? Like she's in love with this Lews Therin who's like
No,
reincarnation,
for sure.
like yeah.
But rarely she does something directly opposite of what she just is doing. You know what I
Uh
mean? Like it's like,
yeah.
oh, you're gonna tell like you're not gonna remember
They're
this.
off in
You're gonna
different ways. Yeah.
right, like you're not gonna remember this. You're gonna just assume that I hit the wrong room, but then like I'm also gonna cut your face, and
Hmm.
so you're clearly gonna know that's something. You know what I mean? Like those are like diametrically opposed things that she just did.
Nice. I like Alexander Hamilton. Anytime anyone says diametrically opposed, like that's from the one of their rap battles, and I always think
Yeah,
of Hamilton.
yeah,
Yeah. Yes, but that scene where she comes in and uses
yeah.
compulsion, like
Crazy.
that was really good. That was a
And
good
watching
scene. That
Nynaeve
was
fight, that was
yeah,
another
that
show
was like
versus tell thing. Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was super haunting and really cool.
And yeah, exactly. Like very menacing. Like I said, whenever she's on screen, but it's also
Hmm.
like she's menacing for like completely different reasons every time she's there, right? Like sometimes she's using compulsion, other times she's like making a gray man, other times she's like clawing somebody's face off. Like what is going on? Like
Mm.
I don't know. So
Yeah, I think I guess they have two more episodes to try to give us something, but my guess is she's just out for herself.
yeah,
And that's, I mean, most of the Forsaken are just trying to like become, they threw out the term of nameless, which is like the head Forsaken, which you can just kind of pick up through context. So most of the Forsaken are just trying to like gather as much power and like please the Dark Lord
yeah.
and, become his chosen one.
And I mean, you also see like Leandra specifically say that she's gonna try and become a Forsaken too, which is actually like adds a lot of dimension to her character, in my opinion.
Mm, yeah. I think, yeah, yeah. And there was that cold open where they actually brought Ishamael back, the actor back
Yeah,
to, show how like she was introduced to the Black Aja. We didn't talk about the Black Aja plot line and like the stuff going on in the tower. We just have a couple of minutes. Or, hmm. Okay, yeah. I also want to just mention that Tom is back.
Tom's
And
back.
we were concerned about that. I think Jake was very concerned. He said if Tom's not back in the next few episodes, he's never coming back, and he was going to flip a table over or something. But Tom is back, so shout out
Yeah.
Jake. Hopefully you enjoyed Tom's re-inclusion into the story.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
great.
I
Tom's
really
back.
I love Tom. He's like, I don't want anything to do with this. You're the hornblower. It's what the freak is going on. I'm just gonna don't and then
Yeah,
he like ends up getting, wrapped in anyways, like despite his best efforts. He's
yeah.
great.
I think the show might be well served to like throw out a few more Taverin type reasonings for things that are happened because that is a big part of Wheel of Time, and like sometimes people are just like randomly sucked in to plots because of the Taverin influence of the Two Rivers kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think
But
Tom does say something like the like either you're shaping the pattern or the pattern shaping you. Like,
oh, does he say okay?
yeah, I
Then
think there's a
yeah,
line like
great.
that Tom says to him.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So real quick in our last few minutes, tower politics in these episodes, it was mostly just the one part where Swan tries to figure out if Elida is Black Aja, and Elida falls into this trap to go check on the Black Aja, and then the Gray Man comes out and is like killing Elida, and then they
Yeah.
intervene. I
That was
mean,
that was
the tower
cool.
stuff is of
It's
all the
so
plot
so.
lines, like, yeah,
Yeah, well, I think you're also like, I don't know if you qualify this as tower politics, but when Moraine goes and visits her,
yeah,
um,
in the dream,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
dream,
There's
that
that.
was another show versus tell, and it's like, oh man, like they kind of lost their shot, like,
Yeah.
and I don't know, that was a cool scene. Like the I'll
I
find you
like
in
the
future lives.
Elida. Yeah. Yeah, no, that yeah, I agree. The that was sad and well done. But I like the Elida actress, and I'm curious to see how far they go with this plotline in this season because there are some really important and exciting things that are down the road for this plotline, but we have two episodes left and we have several things we need to wrap up. So is that going to be part of the season or not? I'm kind of thinking maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Because we've got to wrap up. We've got to wrap up what Rand is doing in the Isle Waste. We've got to wrap up Tinchiko, and we've got to wrap up the Two Rivers.
I think we
All of
focus.
those,
Yeah,
yeah,
we focus on those three things and nothing
yeah.
else.
So then you kind of wonder, like, why
What's the
is
point of
like,
the screen time?
yeah,
Yeah,
what is the point of the screen time in the tower? Just to like make sure these characters are still relevant, and then that thus is the hard part of adapting Wheel of Time first for TV.
Yeah. And also I think that they needed to it was such an explosive start of the season at the tower. And so I
Yeah,
think they definitely needed to show the fallout of that. Like it would have been weird
yeah,
if we
yeah,
had
yeah.
no tower politics after that as well.
Hmm.
Um, so I do enjoy the fact that it did get screen time because I think it was a cool way to start the season. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't really have much complaints. Like even if they didn't do too much after this, I still feel like of course they're gonna be trying to root out the Black Aja and the tower like after that. So
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Final words. We've got two more episodes. Episode 7 seems like the big two rivers battle. Episode 8 hopefully wraps up everything else. And we get great ratings and lots of people watch, and we're on to,
Get renewed for 3 more seasons.
yeah, 3 more seasons, 4 more seasons, something like that. Six, eight.
the thing is, I feel like after season 4, it's like they're committed. You know what I mean? Like if they renew for season 4 and it goes well, it's like
Yeah, yeah, that's true. You're
maybe
you're
I don't. I
basically,
feel like there's a lot of TV shows that are canceled after 2 or 3 seasons, and a lot that like I can't think of much that like just are abruptly canceled like season 6 with more story left to tell.
The Expanse was canceled pretty late
Oh, really?
It was, but then picked back up by
and
Amazon,
then
right?
picked up by Amazon, ironically.
Yeah.
So
Come on,
there's always
Amazon.
there is
With the
there is
fate.
always that option. Yeah. Yeah. Learn from the mistake of The Expanse and don't cancel so late. All right, thanks for tuning in. If you want to hear more Fantology, chat with us about Wheel of Time, let us know what we missed. Honestly, it's been a while since I've read the books, and I love the books, but we probably made some mistakes. Let us know. You can drop us a comment or join our Discord server. Invites are on the episode description below. And until next time, see you guys later. Dreamwalkers, good luck until Riyadh.
You guys.